If your reaction to looking at children literally starving to death in a place where 20,000 children have already been killed is to try to dunk on those kids, or the New York Times for putting a picture of one of those kids on the front page by pointing out that there's some other condition that the starving kid is suffering from, that's sociopathic. I actually feel some pity for you, right? Like I mean this. There's something wrong with you, deeply, deeply up with you.
That is correct. The individual you just heard from is Ben Rhodes, who hammered the Israeli propaganda that is regurgitated by Bari Weiss's publication, The Free Press. And it really has to do with a piece that was published recently about starvation in Gaza. Now, Rhodes was commenting on this piece during Pod Save the World's podcast, which is a foreign policy podcast hosted by Tommy Vietor, who also, of course, co-hosts Pod Save America. Now, the Free Press article was published over the weekend and it's titled, "They Became Symbols for Gazan Starvation, but all 12 suffer from other health problems."
It's like, no, but guys, it's like going to a cancer ward in America and shooting 12 of them dead and going, well, they already had cancer.
I mean, did you know they had cancer? Are you blaming the shooter for shooting them?
And they were gonna die anyway. I mean, they weren't gonna die, they had an ailment. We just decided if they have an ailment and we starve them, they'll die quicker. Wait, how does that help?
Also, how does it help knowing that these 12 individuals, these 12 children who suffered from other health problems live in a territory where Israel bombed every single hospital? And there's also footage showing IDF soldiers happily destroying the equipment in said hospitals.
Okay, my favorite out of the 12.
Are you proud of yourself, Bari Weiss? You feel good about the country that you support? Yeah. Not this country, of course, the other country, Israel.
Of course, yeah. She doesn't care about America at all. Look, for those guys, Mark Levin, Bari Weiss, Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, they would pick Israel over America a billion times, a billion. If you said one country's in danger, which one are you gonna protect? It's a no-brainer for them, like America. Israel, my beloved Israel. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. Okay, so one of this abhorrent, disgusting article in Free Press said, yeah, but one of the kids already had a problem with his head because he had gotten hit by shrapnel in an Israeli bombing. So it was no big deal that he starved.
Totally, yeah, Israel's like totally innocent now after their bombing led to the shrapnel injury.
In the baby's head, in the child's head.
Imagine being in the position, right? Like imagine finding yourself in the position where you have to defend Israel. Like you almost do feel sorry for them because it's indefensible.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for fascists.
That's why I say you almost feel sorry for them. And then you remember what they're defending. This is so disgusting. You know, it's funny because, I mean, you say this all the time, Cenk. How did people allow the Nazis to do what they did? And you think, oh, well, people have evolved since then. It's like stupid to think that. It would never happen today. But not only is it happening today, you literally have publications in the US that mainstream media outlets like CBS are thinking about purchasing for $250,000, spewing this nonsense propaganda.
$250 million. And
what did I say?
I'm not sure if you said million or billion. But guys, what's amazing about that story is that the company considering purchasing them clearly said that they are overpaying because they're pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And why would you say that? You would say that if you wanted to influence the rest of the media. Now, if you're good boys and girls and do propaganda for Israel, you'll get a lot of money. But if you don't, that's what we're gonna punish you. But don't say we control anything. Don't say it, okay? If you say you're an anti-Semite. But if you say, hey, Israel's right to put shrapnel in a kid's head so he's almost dead and then starve him to death, that's not anti-Muslim, that's not bigoted, that's not anti-Palestinian, that's good, those lower human beings. They're not even human. We murdered, so what? So what, we killed 20,000 kids, but they're just Palestinian kids. But the real problem is your bigotry. Because you're complaining about the murder of 20,000 kids, you're a bigot against Jews. No, I got no problem with Jewish Americans at all, Jews anywhere. In fact, they've been wonderful to me throughout my life, wonderful. Okay, I got a problem with people supporting a fascist genocide and getting paid for it and being gleeful about it.
Yep.
Okay, so of course they're gonna attack Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes is good. So let me let you finish the story, but I want to come back and tell you about Ben Rhodes because he's a really interesting guy.
So look, the article, to be fair, does admit that people are starving. Are they not merciful? It's not that there isn't hunger in Gaza. There is. The World Health Organization reported 63 deaths from malnutrition last month alone, including 25 children. But, the authors continue, some of them might have been sick, or worse even if there was no war.
Would the war help them?
Worse even if there was no war. Okay.
Disgusting
These
fascists.
writers are so disgusting. Okay, let me continue though, okay? What's the argument? In 2022, about 50 Gazans under the age of 20 died from malnutrition, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health. Okay, well, in the article, the Free Press notes that some of these starving children who were photographed in Gaza have cerebral palsy or cystic fibrosis. They didn't, how exactly would they be worse off if it weren't for the genocide happening in Gaza? I mean, how does that make any sense? There was
think about it, guys. If in the middle of the Holocaust, some son of a bitch came around and said, well, they might be better off in the gas chambers, you would want to do what? You want, it's hard to contain your rage against that, right? So these monsters are saying, well, I mean, they had pre-existing conditions like, they might have had cancer or, MS or whatever they had. So we killed them by starving them to death. So doesn't that make us better? No, it makes you a terrorist.
Here's an excerpt from the article that enraged Tommy Vietor, which is good to hear. Another host over at Pod Save America. Take a look.
The Free Press, the argument they make in this article is that the images don't prove there's a famine because the kids featured have other health problems too. They have 12 different examples they use, and one is a photo of a 14-year-old boy named Musab Al-Debs. He's described by CNN as suffering from malnourishment. But the big gotcha from the Free Press is that the story didn't mention that the kid suffered a traumatic brain injury after he was hit in the head by shrapnel from an IDF airstrike. So that they think that is making their point. Who do you think dies first in a famine, right? It's people with pre-existing conditions. Not mentioned is the fact that the IDF has blown up all the medical facilities in Gaza, so these kids can't get treatment they might need to look less emaciated or to be healthier. The Free Press story is so condescending. It's like, you don't need in-depth reporting or to be on the ground. You just need Google. It's like, that is you and your obnoxious scolding tone.
Sanctimonious. Yeah. And again, you're looking at people who are objectively starving. Your reaction how to quote cover that story is to try to poke holes in.
Try to weaponize it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
just gross.
It's grotesque.
Yeah. All right, so that's, okay, first of all, when you've lost Pod Save America, you're in a lot of trouble, okay, in my opinion, because Pod Save America is kind of a bellwether for where the Obama team and the mainstream is going, right? So they're not gonna be the first ones to be outraged at Israel, and they weren't. It took a long, long time, right? And so, look, I'm not trying to blame them. I'm telling you, it's a good thing that they've come to this position, and they've done a wonderful segment there calling out free press, and we appreciate it. And it means that the tide has turned. And so now, before, I know I've lived it my whole life, if you criticize Israel, you were shunned and shamed and accusations and recriminations and whispers, oh, anti-Semite, hateful, to make sure he doesn't get any jobs, et cetera, right? So, and by the way, another victim of that is Ben Rhodes, which is what I'm gonna get to. But,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now when you get to the point where we are today, it's now, if you're a supporter of the genocide in Israel, people look at you like, wow, you're kind of disgusting. You wanna kill those kids? And so I'm here for it. Of course you should shun and shame someone who's a terrorist supporting person who loves genocide and says, no, my blind allegiance to a foreign government is more important than those babies. Well, that's deeply sick. So real quick, Ben Rhodes. So he used to work in the Obama administration, and And he has been attacked a lot by the Israeli interests. In fact, they took out private investigators to investigate him and his wife.
Oh my God.
Okay, to try to dig up dirt on him.
Wow.
And I said, what in the world? So my guess is there's two things that particularly brought out their ire. One was that he was in favor of the Iran deal, which they hated. Right. Even though it took nukes and uranium away from Iran. It was the best thing Obama did, and Ben Rhodes was in favor of it. Deserves tremendous credit, okay? And so that way Iran couldn't attack Israel or any of its neighbors, couldn't have nukes.
It took Israel's excuse for a regime change war in Iran away.
Exactly.
That's why they hated the Iran.
They hated it because it led to peace and they wanted war with Iran.
Yep. They
wanted an excuse. Okay, the second reason is because Ben Rhodes is Jewish. So they hate it when they can't use the anti-Semite card. That drives them crazy, right? And then they hold and finally at some point they go, anti-Semite, because they can't help it. That's the only thing they have. It's their one trick pony, right? So that's why guys like Ben Rhodes, again, I don't want to name all the names, but all the wonderful people, I'll just name like Peter Beinart, etc., Robert Greenwald, all these guys doing God's work, angelic work here to try to stop the genocide, etc. And all the people like Bari Weiss are out there trying to smear all their names. No, Israel is Jews. Israel is Jews. So if you hate the genocide that Israel's doing, you should hate the. What are you doing, Bari? What are you doing? Are you a lunatic? No, I'm telling everyone in the audience, Israel does not equal Jews.
So final thing, look, the reason why Israel is losing the PR war is because they're committing a genocide. And the images, the videos of what's happening in Gaza, what's happening to the Palestinian people in the West Bank has soured Americans' perception of Israel as like this wonderful free democracy. I mean, they're committing a genocide. So what does Netanyahu want to do? Obviously, he can't really do positive PR for himself. He's a ghoul, so he wants to do something else. Let's watch.
You know, it's very hard to fight the the deception, the lies, the starved children, the pictures of starved children who turn out to have cerebral palsy or other congenital diseases that leave them emaciated. And Israel is, of course, accused of starving children, pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So, what do you do against the lie that circles the earth 10 times before the truth has a chance to emerge? You have to shorten the war as speedily as possible. And frankly, we also have to do something about the algorithms and the social networks. This is a big challenge. I don't want to dismiss it. But look, we Jews have been fighting and losing the propaganda war for about 2,500 years.
I don't know about losing the propaganda war for 2,500 years, but the state of Israel losing the propaganda war in recent decades probably has something to do with the persecution and mass slaughter of innocent Palestinians.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe that.
Two giant admissions there.
Yeah.
We have been doing the propaganda wars for all these years. Did you ever declare that before? So, okay, he just told you they do propaganda against America to manipulate us and brainwash us into supporting Israel with nonsensical talking points like best democracy in the Middle East while they keep 5.5 million prisoners in the West Bank and Gaza Strip.
Most moral army.
Dictatorship in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Most moral army when their IDF is a group of terrorists now that has a worse civilian kill ratio than Hamas does. Has killed 60 times the civilians. I can go on and on. We have a right to defend ourselves, but the Palestinians don't. But did you notice the second thing he admitted? Oh, we're gonna come after the social media algorithms because we've allowed too much freedom in America. We're gonna tighten the leash. Tighten the leash, okay? We got the American politicians under control. We got mainstream media under control. Now social media is bothering us a little bit. We're gonna have to work on those algorithms, okay? So that's who Netanyahu is, a disgusting terrorist. And if you're part of the free press and you're supporting Netanyahu, you're a terrorist supporter and you disgust me.
Yep.
And all good Americans should really be outraged by all of the Israel first people who are saying, all American taxpayers should take money out of our pockets and fund a genocide where they slaughter children like this. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.